My fellow Americans,
Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race. How did Russia welcome this decision? Would a Trump presidency be in Putin's favor? Or does Russia actually want a different outcome to the race? And will it once more try to influence the outcome of the elections? Our expert explains. The initial reactions from the Kremlin were limited, but harsher responses soon followed.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov limited to saying that it will be following the campaign, but the main task is to focus on successful so-called special military operations, and it doesn't change anything in that respect. The other members of the elite, notably the very outspoken deputy head of Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, just also posted a very short note saying that Biden is over, we wish him best health, and Russia will win the special military operation. We will achieve its aims. More vicious reaction came from a spokesman of the MFA, Maria Zakharova, who first initially reacted that the special commission should be established in the US to investigate the conspiracy of the American elite to hide the truth about Biden's health. And also she focused on accusing United States, the Biden administration, of numerous crimes made in their foreign policies, including creating a terrorist state, meaning Ukraine, derailing the economies of the European Union member states, and undermining statehoods in the Middle East. These reactions are, first of all, limited due to necessity to assess the consequences of the Biden decisions on the campaign. It adds more unpredictability to these elections and elections results. It seemed to be that the Kremlin had already got used to the belief that Biden is losing, the Trump will win the elections, and the recent Kremlin reactions were rather openly negative. Notably, Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, accused the Biden administration of creating an atmosphere in which such occurrence could happen. Saying that Moscow believes the Biden administration hasn't been orchestrating this attempt. But now Kremlin needs to assess the situation again. As far as political interest towards the US elections, it is true that Moscow is more inclined positively towards Donald Trump. For basic two reasons. One is that Trump may be more open to a certain political bargain with Moscow, including on Ukraine, which could favor some Moscow interests. But even more important, Trump is seen as a person who will lead US policies towards more disengagement, especially from Europe. And weakening support for Ukraine. That is the very important element for Moscow. But really what the Kremlin hopes for the most is the internal turmoil, political crisis within the US, and the focus of the American policies on internal affairs. So basically, a weakening of the global outreach and engagement of the US, including in Europe, which will make Russia more hopeful in terms of their policies in various regions who are trying to derail the US presence and US policies. What Russia wants as a result of these elections is political chaos. There is no big open support for any candidacy, including Trump's, but probably what the Kremlin will do is using its outreach in terms of trolls and networks built, social networks, to basically increase the political polarization in the US, increasing the potential for destabilization in the United States, while not openly trying to engage politically or through any cyber means in these elections, not to provoke any negative reaction both from the public opinion in the US, but also any potential retaliation from Washington.
In light of these changes, will Russia once again try to meddle in the US election like it did in 2016?
A bit ironically, the Kremlin does not feel necessity to be very much actively engaged, because it sees the situation which is ongoing as a developing internal political crisis in the US, which favors Moscow's interests. So there's no point in actually showing up its open engagement, not to fuel the critics of breakthrough in terms of diplomatic engagements with the new American administration. Russia needs to portray itself as constructive, ready for serious negotiations, both on international security, nuclear arms, or war in Ukraine. So it does not need to create this image of itself as a force who is actively engaged in a political fight within the US.
So who would Russia rather see in the Oval Office in 2025?
Well, definitely Moscow is leaning more towards Donald Trump as a person who is potentially open for any kind of grand bargain with Moscow, which opens up a potential of achieving at least part of the goals Moscow trying to achieve. And also it offers more instability, both internally in the US and in relations with American allies, including in Europe. So more transatlantic tensions. However, on the other hand, Trump brings unpredictability. And unpredictability is something really Moscow hates. Moscow has been used to the West policies being quite consistent, responsible, self-restrained, creating red lines for itself. Trump is known as a person who is ready to cross various red lines and who can be unpredictable in terms of immediate political actions. So Moscow does not like this, and it creates certain concern in Moscow. So it is not a full-fledged support. Moscow, first of all, is interested in a political crisis within the US, in chaos, which will weaken the US and weaken the US engagement abroad for Moscow favor.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, take a look at our other coverage of Russia right here.